waking up to the sounds of bombs going off during a Japanese air raid made World War II a frightening reality.
One bomber came over early one morning. We all were still in the bed. And I think I made it from the tent to the gun pit in about 2 seconds.
Fred Smith, drafted during high school, was an 18-year-old Army gunner protecting airfields recaptured by American forces in the South Pacific.
I was sitting on the 40mm cannon, traversing the gun, shooting the airfield.
Now 89, Smith vividly remembers one dark, quiet night that quickly turned chaotic.
Somebody think they heard something, so they'd fire. Somebody else would fire, then somebody else would fire. All of a sudden, all the guns on both sides was shooting. They couldn't see what they were shooting at.
A cruel climate spread fever in the ranks and turned every routine task into a nightmare.
But troops had to fight another enemy. Smith battled malaria and survived his tour of duty from 1943 to 46. He's been honored with a Bronze Star and other awards for his service.
He's my hero because he's my daddy.
Smith's daughter is grateful Honor Flight KC is making this Veterans Day special.
Going to have a lot more meaning, to those that served, to be there on that day and see the memorials.
Honoring all veterans who fought and did come home.
And I was one of the very fortunate ones.
And all those who did not. Susan Hyland, Fox 4 News, working for you.
Fred Smith is among 55 veterans returning to KCI tonight. If you'd like to join in and give them a hero's welcome, they should arrive around 9:30 at U.S. Airways Terminal C, Gate 79.
Two lucky veterans from the Metro got this morning. A group of veterans from the Metro is heading to D.C. on an honor flight. They'll visit several war memorials and return to Kansas City tonight. Fox 4's Susan Hyland is traveling with the group, and she joins us live at KCI now. Good morning.
Good morning, Mark. Yes, 47 veterans from the metro area are getting ready for a trip of a lifetime. They are all here at KCI, Gate 79, getting ready to board a charter flight. That charter flight sponsored by Honor Flight Kansas City. We will leave here at Kansas City and fly to Reagan International Airport. There they will see several war memorials honoring those who have fought in the war. Now, altogether, about 90 passengers will be on that plane, including the veterans, their guardians, and many volunteers. We have representatives of veterans from the Korean War, from World War II. They range in age from 98 to 85. They are so excited to be going, especially on Veterans Day. One of those veterans joining me now is Austin Ott. He is an Army veteran, and he fought at the end of World War II and the beginning of the Korean War. And Austin, you were telling me you have waited years to be on Honor Flight. Tell me how exciting this day is for you.
This is the most exciting day of my life, and I mean this very sincere.
Good morning. We are at Reagan International Airport, and we just landed about 10 minutes ago. And I'll tell you, it was like they landed to a hero's welcome. It was unbelievable. And one of the people that got off the plane is with me now, Ted Nelson. You were on the honor flight from Kansas City. You're a Navy guy and got off the plane. What was it like to walk down and see all those people cheering for you?
Not expecting anything like that. That was fantastic.
What did it feel like?
Oh, it just put a thrill through you, and everybody wanted to shake my hand, and it was just a real fantastic thing. And I think every one of the veterans that are with me would have said the same thing. So,
absolutely. And you know what? We can still hear cheering behind us. They're still cheering the veterans as they come out of the terminal and start over to the buses to board. And we're going to head over to Iwo Jima and the Air Force Memorial. Those are the first two war memorials on our schedule today. It is unbelievable, the turnout here. to welcome these veterans to Washington, D.C. as we kick off our tour of the war memorials along the National Mall in Washington, D.C. We'll be checking back in with you later on this afternoon and give you another update. For now, I'm Susan Hyland, Fox 4 News, along with photojournalist John Hyduk, working for you in Washington, D.C. Thanks, guys. We are now at the World War II Memorial, and I'm telling you, it is unbelievable. The weather here is really great. It's like 67, 70 degrees, sunny skies, and the veterans are having a blast. Earlier, we went to the Air Force Memorial and had a wreath-laying ceremony there and a nice ceremony put on by the Air Force. But earlier today, it was a hero's welcome at Reagan International Airport. It was unbelievable. As the vets got off of the plane, there were hundreds of people at the airport cheering them on. There were war songs and armed forces songs being sung to them by a barbershop chorus. Many of the vets were in tears as kids and other people rushed up to them with flags waving and thanking them for their service. It was just very emotional for some of them and really got the morning off to a great start. It really set the tone for everything, but the VIP service didn't stop there. We had a police escort from the airport all the way to the Air Force Memorial. Now we're at the World War II Memorial, and we have several more memorials to see as we go up the National Mall. At 6 a.m. this morning, Honor Flight Kansas City chartered a flight from here to Washington, D.C., took 47 veterans aged 85 to 98 to Washington, D.C. to see the monuments, war memorials, all within a day. And that was pretty overwhelming in itself and a pretty impressive feat. But what really got to these veterans was seeing complete strangers and all these crowds of people come up to them and thank them for their service. It really made them feel proud to be part of their country. With me now is John Gillespie. He was a World War II veteran. And John, you were telling me that when you went to the Tomb of the Unknowns and the wreath laying, that was really special. Tell me about how you felt about that.
Well, number one, I didn't know it was so perfected and very accurate, and they had their best boys and men doing it.
47 Metro veterans arrived home last night to a hero's welcome after spending Veterans Day in the nation's capital visiting their war memorials. Honor Flight Kansas City flew them to Washington, D.C. for this one-day trip at no cost to them, and Fox 4 went along for that unforgettable trip. A water cannon salute welcomed Metro vets at Reagan National Airport and set the tone for their patriotic day in Washington.
To the shores of...
In the terminal, a huge crowd greeted them, waving flags, shaking their hands.
Oh, a Marine! I love Marines!
Hugging them.
Thank you!
Thanking them for their service. It was overwhelming and emotional.
Thank you for your service.
Very moving. I almost cried a couple of times. It was so moving.
Then it was off to see their war memorials by police escort. Active duty Navy and Marines greeted the vets at the World War II Memorial. Fred Smith served in the South Pacific in World War II.
I had no idea that there'd be so many people waiting every place you go to shake your hand. I thought that was fantastic.
Where did you serve?
After a group photo with Missouri Senator Roy Blunt, vets remembered troops who didn't come home. The Freedom Wall honors the more than 400,000 Americans dead or missing.
This is one of the more surreal memorials there is.
At the Korean Veterans War Memorial, 19 statues reflecting in a granite wall gives the illusion of 38, representing the 38th parallel and 38 months of the war, a war George Johnson remembers well.
It's a wonderful thing. I hope every veteran gets to do it.
Pretty special on Veterans Day?
You bet.
There was time to reflect on the wall that heals, with the name of more than 58,000 Americans who died in the Vietnam War.
Well, I was very moved by the wall, and the whole day has been emotional.
A somber ceremony at the Tomb of the Unknowns. For the changing of the guard, 2 Metro veterans laid a wreath to honor veterans from our area who died while serving our country. Our last stop was the U.S. Marine Corps War Memorial and the famous statue of Iwo Jima. A Veterans Day these vets won't forget.
To have the children, as well as their parents, and just strangers, say thank you. Well worth it.
But the vets had one more surprise when we got back to Reagan National Airport. Dancers were waiting for them to dance a few numbers with music from the 40s, just like the old days. These guys had a blast. Must have been that honor flight energy.